Hello, Needham. You are watching What's My House Worth. Thanks for joining us for our open house. There's a sign-in sheet in the kitchen. You can just leave your name, no contact information. My name is Rob Tickton. This is Ryan McDonald. Hi, Ryan.
How you doing, Rob?
Good. We are with Hawthorne Real Estate. We
sure
are a design build company. We also provide brokerage services to people both buying and selling their home. And sometimes we're everything for our clients. Wouldn't you say, Ryan?
We do what we can.
Today's episode is going to be taking a very close look at the sales data for the month of January. A little bit of a chilly month.
Oh, my goodness. And snowy all of a
I was going to
sudden.
say lots of precipitation as well. Before we dive in and take a look on a sale-by-sale basis, we're going to start the show like we always do, Ryan, and that's with the stat sheet.
Yeah, why don't we dig through some numbers, Rob?
I like it. Let's shovel out and find out what we have.
What we have in January in Needham, we have 18 single-family homes selling according to MLS. That's down from 20 in December, although not, completely surprising.
Nope.
Our average list price and our average sale price is basically unchanged from December, right at that 1.08, just over $1 million, really, for both. What I did like to see was getting back up to the sale price as a percentage of list at 99.1 in January. That's back up from 97 in December. And then the 96.1 of original list in January, that's up from 93 in December, which was a really kind of an anomaly as far as how low that was last month. But the 99 and the 96, the 96 maybe a little lower than we like, but still healthy.
Right, maybe lower than we'd like in relation to what the numbers have been over the last
Right.
12 months, but I would say, generally speaking, a healthy number.
Right, and also par for the course as far as this time of year.
Correct.
So average sale price per square foot, $349. That's up from $343 in December. And then the average days on market dipped a little bit, which is good, down to 101 from 106 in December. But, again, all of these numbers are healthy, and especially considering we're talking about sales in January.
Right. Also, 11 homes sold in January 2014, so a significant bump up from that. We'll take a look at the other previous Januaries going back a few years, but before we do that, let's take a look at the most recent trend, which examines the sales in Needham over the past 6 months. We had talked a little bit about the recliner in the last episode, Ryan, and that theme continues a little bit, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and I think
it looks even more like a recliner.
Right, it's getting more and more comfortable.
It is.
Actually, I wouldn't mind jumping on that thing.
Looks soft.
So what we're going to see, I think, in the coming months is, the uptick, and so you had the peak in August, which is the sort of like the last remnants of the spring market closings, and then it's been fairly quiet, and then I think we're going to see as we start to thaw, hopefully in the coming weeks, but we'll see. We'll start to see some more activity.
Yeah,
and
that would be.
The numbers will rise.
That would be a good thing. So we're going to go from a recliner to a W, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right, so January, we talked about it, 18 sales for the month, which was 7 better than the year before, but how do those two numbers stack up with historical numbers for January? And we almost did it, Ryan.
I know.
We almost set a record.
We just can't get over that 18 hump. I mean,
Yeah.
It's that's the ceiling, apparently, in January in Needham.
True.
18 sales. But maybe, you know what? Here's to 2016, Rob.
That's right. Or 2015. Are you
Well,
saying
no,
next?
next year we can maybe get over that hump.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Slow
the ship
down.
has sailed for this year. We're
Yeah.
done.
2015 is basically done?
Yeah.
That's sad. So there you have it. That's the big look at the data. Now we're going to start to go a little bit deeper and take a look on a sale-by-sale basis. We're going to start the same way. We're going to go low, work our way up in terms of sales price. And so as we do it in that order, the first house we're going to look at is 164 Thornton Road. Ryan, you saw this house, did you not?
Yeah, walked this lot. I mean, this came on. It was priced at $500,000. This is definitely a land sale, or at least was priced as a redevelopment opportunity, and it was to encourage bids. And it went for $575, so it went considerably over asking. But $575 is probably a good number for this property. It's a 7,400 square foot lot. It's not level. It's on Birds Hill, and it slopes from back to front, which is always challenging from a build, and it can be expensive in terms of leveling a lot. But it's a great neighborhood. The only thing that I was thinking about as a builder when I was walking the lot, I was just looking at the street, and I'm just trying to imagine the congestion that's going to be created with trucks, with workers' cars, because it's not a cul-de-sac. It's just a dead end.
Oh, right.
And it's just going to be a dicey little job site. But again, for $575 for a property in Broadmeadow on Birds Hill, it has potential. So we'll keep an eye on that one.
All right. So you think that number's about right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Over to Border Road now for our next sale as we climb the ladder up to $600,000 for that sales price. Original list was a little bit higher, $735, Ryan.
Yeah, and this one, friend of the show, Bob Downs,
Oh, yeah.
was running this one.
Of course.
And I think he did a good job. I mean, this is a tough one to price out because it's as noted in the listing sheet, it had extensive termite damage.
There's a lot going on, yes.
The house was dated. It clearly had some cosmetic and also potentially structural work that needed to be done. It's not a clear candidate to be torn down because why?
The stream that seems to be running through the lot.
Right. So we have some water to contend with. So this one's a tough one to price out. I mean, you don't really have, here are 4 comps we can look at that have termite damage, that are dated, and that are on water.
Right.
So it's a challenge to try to get this positioned properly. I do believe it went under agreement, then came back on, and that's when they lowered the price from $735 down to $650, and then it sold for $600. But still only took about a little over a week. So clearly there's potential here. It's a nice neighborhood, and it's a cool property. It's just there's a decent amount of work to be done there.
Right. Yeah. I look at a listing like this, and I think to myself, it requires a savvy buyer.
Yeah.
Somebody who knows that they got to get their hands a little dirty, but there is value to be had at the back end, assuming they do the work necessary. And it looks as though, in this particular case, that's quite a bit of work.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people out there who like things nice and shiny and new and are very overwhelmed at the prospect of having to do work to a house, and they would not be the buyer of 46 Border.
Yeah, and when you see something like this, it does illustrate sort of like one of those, termites is something that a lot of homeowners, you're just not even thinking about it. You buy your house, you have your inspection, and there's no termite damage, and then that's the end of it. But termites is like radon. I mean, it's something that you should revisit periodically because at any given time, conditions could change, and all of a sudden you have termites in a house that never had them before. But particularly in this one where you're in a wet environment, I mean, that does, it is a breeding ground. So,
I can guarantee you there are people who just saw the word termite and stopped reading and
right.
went on to the next one.
That's true. But I'm talking about people for their own home, like homeowners for your own house. You may not be thinking about a lot of renovations next year, but maybe some preventative maintenance might be in order to have someone come out and take a look around for things like termites and just to be on the safe side.
All right, 17 Ridgeway Avenue is next up on our list. This one sells for $625, $625. It was on the market for 2 whole days, Ryan.
Yep, two quick days.
Priced well, wouldn't you say?
I would. I mean, Ridgeway is right off of Great Plain, right near Hazel's. This is a 10,400 square foot lot. It's a small house, only $1,275, 2 bedrooms. And look at this. Is this a potential renovation or a land sale, Rob?
Yeah, it looks as though that's the case.
We'll have to revisit that one too.
We will. Okay, I'll make a note.
We have some to-dos.
Yeah, we have
already. We're only 3 houses in.
I know. Well, we have till January 2016, right? Since this year's basically over. 1313 Great Plain Avenue is next up, and a lot of redevelopment plays, and I see a little bit of red writing, Ryan.
Okay, take it.
So here's why it's my deal of the month for the buyer. This is why I think the buyer is getting a good deal at $660,000. It's a big house. It's got a lot of square footage. It's got 4 beds, 2.5 baths. It's a big lot, 19,000 square feet. A little bit of a slope.
It is a big lot.
Slope back to front, like you had mentioned, not ideal per se.
But at that size, you can play with it. When it's 7,400 square feet, it becomes a little more challenging.
And not overly steep either. And the house is set back from the road, and it's a walk-to-town location.
Yep.
And without question, the house requires a lot of work, an older home, and hasn't had much updating. But when you get in at a price at $660,000 and you have this much square footage, you can pour a significant amount of money into this house. And if you put $400,000 into it, I believe you have $1 million+ home. And it's just got a lot going for it. And I think a lot of things that would make it attractive to a buyer once the house got renovated.
Yes, a lot of upside here.
A lot of upside. So that's why it is my deal of the month.
For the buyer.
For the buyer.
All right, then.
All right.
Good.
Ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Me too.
Okay.
227 Brookline Street is our next listing, and it sells for $775. This one abuts Mitchell.
Yeah, it does. It's a couple houses up from Mitchell as you're heading towards Webster. 12 days on the market. You know, when it first came out, I was like, that seems like a lot of money. But I mean, it's a big lot. It's 12,000 square feet. It's almost 2,000 square feet of living space. It's been updated. So I mean, there's, and I think it did come on and off. So at least it went under agreement twice. But you know, I think the only drawback here is, you know, the busyness of Brookline.
Mm-hmm.
But it's on one of the flat areas of Brookline, so it's not really on the hill. You know, I guess from the numbers, I mean, the sizes and the condition of the house, I guess it works.
I think a lot of people are willing to overlook the busyness of the road for the fact that you can just have your kids walk out the front door, take about 200 steps, and they're at school.
Yeah, and it's you know, it's near the high school too. When you're thinking about, you know, we talk about the houses that can hit 3 schools in one location. You know, walk to 3 schools. You have this one gets 2 out of 3.
Right. We got another one coming down the pike.
You can walk to Pollard from here.
Yeah.
If you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
And turnkey.
Turnkey.
But requires some finishing touches.
Yes.
Correct?
That's that one.
Yes, that's that one.
Is it?
It is.
Okay.
36 Aletha Road. Ryan, this one sells for $851,000.
Yeah, and I think we both commented to each other about how nice the write-up was for this house.
Yes, kudos to the agent. It was
very pleasant.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed. I read it twice.
Yeah, and as she put, I mean, I didn't want to leave, but I hadn't even gotten there yet.
And I hadn't even looked at the pictures.
But I mean, so Aletha, good job. In one day, sells for $26,000 over asking. So I would say a well placed, well done job by this listing agent.
Yeah, and it's a good number, Ryan, for 1,600 square feet.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a nice neighborhood. It's a Broadmeadow neighborhood. It's very quiet, but you know, it's a raised ranch, and it's dressed up. But yeah, I agree with you. It's a strong sale.
This could have been a deal of the month contender for the seller.
Yeah, it's a
Wouldn't
candidate.
you agree?
It's a candidate.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there should be backslaps all around that closing for the listing agent.
Yeah, well, we can revisit the year-end spectacular.
That's true.
Our next house, a little bit of a different type of location.
Yeah.
From Aletha, we go over to 3 Bridge Street, and you and I both saw this house.
Yes, we did.
You remember that?
We did. It was a bit harrowing to get to. Remember?
It was. It was a little bit of an industrial road to get to this particular listing. It's kind of nestled into the kind of the 95 Route 9 corner.
Right. It abuts 128, I believe. Like it's right at the end of
right there.
The bridge, and yeah, there's the highway. And you know, this one, it's 3,300 square feet. It's built 1988, so it's modern. It did have some cool things on the inside. Remember that, like the fireplace had that stone wall, and then the other side of it was exposed stone in the kitchen, the eating area, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, I agree. I like the house.
The bar in the basement. It was a nice house. It's just really, I think the price, what's keeping this thing from, you know, a number that's in the 9s or up was the location.
But still, $855 is still pretty good for a 3-bed, Ryan.
It is. A lot of space.
It is a lot of space.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well done, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
120 days on market. That's not terrible.
No, not at all.
Okay.
I mean, you probably lost a lot of potential buyers just going to the showing.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I mean, we kind of saw that happen.
Yeah, we took a buyer there, and you could see that you know, he was definitely losing his steam as we navigated through the reservoir industrial area.
Right, but there's a buyer for every house.
That's true.
67 Lexington Avenue is next up. This one, we're starting to creep towards that $1 million number. Not yet, but we're getting there, Ryan. Mm-hmm. Not a huge lot, 7,800 square feet, but sells for $910.
Yeah, I mean, this is one we just mentioned on a bridge. This is also a lot of space for a 3-bedroom, and I think, you know, my take when I saw this house is that there was enough space on that second floor for a 4th bedroom, but it was laid out in such a way that there was a really long hallway to get like to the master suite area, and the bathroom itself in the master was very, very long. So I think if that hallway and that bathroom were tightened up a bit, you could get a 4th bedroom up there easily, because the footprint could easily sustain it. So that's something that the current owner may look into, and I think the marketability and the saleability of that house would go much higher.
Interesting.
If done.
A little bit of a deja vu for us in the studio as well. 110 South Street is, so this, you want to talk about a house that, you know, you've seen over the past, anybody in the real estate industry is familiar with, because over the last 4 years, it's either been on the market or it's been off the market for a really short period of time, right?
3 separate times between 2011 and 2012, this house was on the market.
Right, this is, you know, I think people think of South Street, for whatever reason, they tend to associate it south of Dedham Ave, but this is actually in between Dedham Ave and Great Plain Ave.
Right.
And what's so interesting is that it was on and off for so many times starting 2011, but it ends up basically selling for a number that it was on the market for the whole time.
Yeah, it was on like 929, 939, that price range. And yeah, you're right. I mean, this is a big lot. It's well over an acre. It's right near St. Sebastian's, as you mentioned.
It abuts the Charles River.
Yep, and it has water views. So I mean, this is a really cool property.
Yes.
So I think, I mean, as far as candidates for deal of the month, this was one for the buyer as well. I think they did a good job here. Got a really nice property. I mean, the kitchen's been updated. The rest of the house a little dated, but for $900,000, you're getting almost 3,000 square feet that you can update a little bit. And you have just an amazing Needham property.
Well, if the house isn't on the lot, what's it worth?
That's a good point. Probably right around what they paid.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so that was 110 South Street.
Tons of insight right there.
Yeah, I know. Just, free flowing. 110 South Street we just looked at. Now we're going to go to 110 Richardson. Same number, right?
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
No, the insight is starting to really
Fascinating.
thin out here a little bit. 110 Richardson Drive, we just jumped over the $1 million mark.
We did.
Sells for $1,064,000. This one needed a little bit of updating.
I needed a lot of bit of updating, I think.
All right.
I mean, even in the listing sheet, it's mentioned that the same owner for 32 years, which is great for the pride of ownership, and it's obviously been loved, but that does tend to mean some things sometimes get away from certain owners, and so there's some work to be done here. I think one of the draws of this house is it has like a private home office area.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was
so you could run a business out of this place.
Yes, and it's zoned to run a business out of it. It said in the listing sheet. Totally separate attached wing with separate entrance for office.
There you go.
It was 2 rooms, a half bath. I mean, that's...
You hang a shingle.
You got somebody that's, perfect for that.
Right.
So
it does narrow the buyer pool a little bit.
You
got to find someone, A, that appeals to, and B, that wants to take on a renovation project.
Right. But the first part, I mean, it's so flexible. You could make that into a little, guest suite if you wanted to.
An
instead
au
of a
pair
separate
suite
office.
also.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, 95 Elmwood Road.
Yes.
It sells for 1180. This one on the market for 169 days, Ryan. So quite a few months, and there were 3 price reductions over the course of that time.
Yeah, I think it went on. This was a flip. This was purchased in 2013 for $595. It was expanded and renovated. I think it was on the market sort of during that process, so it didn't wait till it was finished to list it. But yeah, I mean, it started out at 132. That's probably a bit high. We've seen some of these types of projects the last couple of years, and they tend to land in that 1.2 or just under range. The one on Sargent, there was one on Washington. So this is a good number for this house. It is a nice location, but it is on the corner of Whittier and Elmwood, so there isn't a ton of outdoor space because it's sort of like it's almost like a
pie shape.
Yeah, and so. All right, but still, I mean, it's nicely renovated, brand new in a lot of areas, so good job.
So 95 Elmwood is nicely renovated. Now we're going to start to work our way towards some new construction. That brings us to 54 Horace Street. This one, you and I both saw this one as well, and it sells for 135, so pretty close to the original list, considering it was on the market for 152 days, although I think some of those days was while it was under construction, which we tend to see. People love to see that house finished before they take the plunge, don't they?
It's either, we've learned to either hook somebody at the beginning and do a custom build, or
you get them at the end.
You get them at the end. So
tough to get them in the middle.
But like you said, we saw this house. Horace there's a couple of new builds on Horace. I think in this 1.3s, this is becoming the kind of that niche number range for spec new construction. So this falls right into that.
Horace, of course, this is off Central, runs parallel to Webster. 69 Brookline Street. We're back to a little bit of a busier road, albeit good location and new construction. And you and I both noticed something about this house when we saw it, I believe.
Or maybe we didn't notice something about it. It didn't have a mudroom, Rob.
That's right, it didn't. It had a mud area, kind of smack dab in the middle of the house.
A mud landing?
A mud landing, just one word.
But not a mudroom. So I think, probably needed a mudroom.
Right, but amazing location.
Yep.
And sells for 1,385. And there you have it. Anything else about that one?
It's in that wheelhouse spec 1.3s.
All right, you want to play a little game, Ryan?
Oh boy, I love little games.
All right, this one, I'm just going to give you a hint. I'm setting you up to fail.
Oh, good. Those are fun.
All right, so next listing's 15 Howe Road. New construction, sells for 1,449. I really like this house, by the way.
Okay.
And we can get to it. But prior to that house selling, 1,449, okay, what was the highest selling house prior to this house to sell on MLS? How much did it go for?
How about 980,000?
809,000.
Oh, not bad though.
Yeah, well, I gave you
Was
eight house.
Was it 8 how?
Yeah, very good.
See,
Sold
partial redemption.
When did it sell?
2012.
2013, April.
All right.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, 15 how. I like this house.
Okay. Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, it had 4 levels of finished space.
Yep.
It had the dual staircase thing
Oh,
going on.
those are fun.
I'm a huge fan.
Me too.
And I just thought it was finished really nicely when I walked through it. And it was an ambitious. I don't care how nice you make a house. It's an ambitious price when you talk about a street that just doesn't have a track record of homes selling in that range.
Good point.
But for 1,449, I think it's a good value for the people that bought it. I don't think it was going to sell for much less than that. I liked it.
All right. Well done.
It's across from Owen Woods, if you will.
Okay.
I'm sure there's some people on the street who believe that they are part of Owen Woods. Maybe? I don't know. We can talk about that in a later show. 50 Robinwood Ave, not to be confused with 77 May Street or 1200 Central Ave. This is 50 Robinwood. It's confusing because they all look so much like the original 77 May Street. But
Yeah, that original at 77 May is really nice, by the way.
yeah, it's spawned a lot of copycat crimes, if
Yep.
you will. But this, never saw the inside of this one because it was sold before it was built.
I imagine it looks similar to 77 May Street, though,
Right.
considering the outside is identical.
Right. Although finished is nice, I don't know.
I don't know.
52 to Road. Ryan, this one sells for 1,495. It was also listed for 1,495.
It was.
Thoughts on this one?
This is one of these houses, Rob, that was built. This was built, I think, in 2012.
That's correct, and it sells for 2015. Why is that?
This is one where the builder takes the approach of building the house, not selling it right away, but moving into it for a period of time. There are some tax benefits to the builder in doing so. The downside, of course, is that you kind of devalue your house a little bit,
right,
by living in it. It's not new anymore, so there's that. But I think you got a pretty good number here.
Right. Well, there's also the downside that if you do this on a consistent basis, you're basically moving every 2 to 3 years.
Right. That's also, you're basically a migrant farmer.
Correct.
Yeah.
And speaking of being a migrant farmer, if you want to walk to either the middle or high school, you got a little bit of a trek as well.
Right. I think a little liberal on the walk to the trifecta of schools here. Broadmeadow, definitely. It's right down the street. The middle school, Pollard, maybe it's a little bit of a hike, and the high school is a full-on trek.
Yeah, you're setting your alarm for a very early hour
Right.
if you're walking to the high school. 65 Curve Street is our next house. I feel like we're on Curve often on this show.
And I think every time we're on Curve, we say that we feel like we're on Curve a lot.
Right, and it's always new construction.
Maybe Curve is just sneaking up on us.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But this street is really throwing us a curveball right
I mean, this one definitely is a walking distance to town and train.
Yeah.
Without question.
That's a sneaky walk to town
It
location.
is sneaky walk to town.
I think we say that every time,
I
too.
know. It's fun, though.
Yeah.
I mean, this one, good number. 1,525. You got to be happy with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great number.
Bang.
But it's not our big seller, Ryan.
No, it isn't.
Our big seller. Wait, actually, we haven't had your deal a month yet, have we?
I know. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I guess we forgot to put it in this month.
Yeah.
Next up is 100 Wilson Lane. It's our big seller. It sells for 1.649 million. And whoa!
Yeah.
There
How
we go.
about this? How about my deal of the month? A, being for the buyer, which is rare.
Very.
But B, being for the buyer on the big seller.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this house.
I think that's happened once before with you.
Really?
Right? Yeah,
Oh.
actually.
I mean, the reason why this one grabbed me is I don't care. You can comb the entire town. You're not finding another property like this. It's 10 acres. It's on the Charles. It's been meticulously renovated. It's an older home, granted. I mean, it's not, wide open living space. There's small rooms, but they all have charm and character. There's a guest house. The grounds are impeccable. Like, this is a really, really unique property. And when you put it in perspective of what else you can buy for 1.6, you're not buying anything like this, and they're not making any more of these. So I think from the buyer standpoint, you can put your own touches on it. There's a lot you can do in the exterior and the outside and the grounds, even though they're, like I said, they're great as they are. But this one, good job, buyer. I think this is a great property.
Sells for $165,000 per acre.
Yeah.
Market snapshot up now. What's going on with the Needham real estate market as we speak? This is as of February 3rd, 2015. And I would say probably about what we'd expect. Nothing really jumping off the page here, Ryan, other than average list price bouncing back after dropping a little bit last month.
Yeah, up to the the 1396 mark. There's 43 active single family homes. We'll kind of dig into that in a minute. The average days on market at 149. That number is going to come down. I mean, it's just as we get into spring, we'll see. I mean, right now we're seeing some properties that have been on for a while that are sort of skewing that. And the average list price per square foot, $338. So I mean, I think that's a number we're kind of getting used to.
Yeah.
But again, that's under our actual average sale price per square foot, which I think speaks to there's a lot of new construction that's on the market right now, which is bringing that average per square foot number down.
Right. Well, it should be interesting to see what this weather does too going forward. If that kind of slows things, maybe the spring market it gets a little bit delayed as people basically are digging out from underneath this snow.
Right. I mean, you're not putting your house on the market this week.
No.
I mean, this is the first week of February. Everybody can imagine we're buried right now. We barely got here. I mean, it was a hike.
Yeah, I had to carry you.
Yeah, we persevered.
But you think about the spring market, how it started so early the last year or two, and I don't think that's going to be the case this year. All right, one thing a little bit different.
Bonus slide.
Bonus slide time. We love bonus slide time. Wanted to, as you know, we have our fingers on the pulse of the market on a pretty consistent basis. When we see something that jumps out at us, we want to pass along to you. And so that was the case, or the precipice, if you will, for us putting this slide together that shows a little bit of a gap in the market, Ryan. And when I say little, I mean huge.
Right. I mean, of the 43 houses that are currently on the market as of February 4th, there are 0 between 969 and 13. Not a single one.
Not one.
Not one.
So if you have somebody who's looking to spend $1.1 million,
which we all know we do. I mean, people call all the time with that 1.2, 1.1 sweet spot.
There is nothing for them. Nothing.
Zip.
And so I guess my advice would be, as we just talked about a delayed start to the spring market, if you are thinking of selling and you think your house might be worth somewhere in that range, now probably would be a pretty good time to list that house because you have the attention of everybody who wants to move into Needham at that price range.
Yeah, you're the only game in town. I mean, digging a little further into the 43 homes, 30 of them are over $1.3 million. 30 of 43. Yikes.
Yeah, it's amazing.
5 of them are over $2 million. So we're definitely top heavy right now as far as the market's concerned.
Right, but I've never seen a gap like that.
No. How many listings are there in the 6s?
2.
One. But there's one in the 7s that's probably
will end up in the 6s.
Probably should be in the 6s. But one. So the spring market should definitely be interesting as far as where we start to see some of these new listings come on.
All right, people want to reach us. How do they do it?
They can call us. Call us at 781-707-6564 or email us at rob.ryan@hawthornre.com.
Very good. That does it for this.
Well, one other thing.
Oh, yeah.
I do want to pass along some birthday wishes. Our friends at Condon Realty turning 30. Well done. And how about Hawthorne Real Estate? We're turning 10. We've been doing this for 10 years. Does it feel like 10 years?
Yeah, it's a special year.
10 years.
2015.
But happy birthday to everybody.
And thank you for joining us for this month's installment of What's My House Worth. We'll see you again very soon.